And the 2020 United States presidential election scheduled right now for Tuesday, November 3rd. In a pre-recorded segment we taped in February, we talked with an expert about dealing with stress in a highly polarized political environment. Take a look. It's a presidential election year and many Americans may find themselves on an emotional roller coaster ride between now and November.
Yes, and our great friend of the show, Dr. Catherine Franson from Longwood University, joins us with a few key tips on how to manage election year stress. Welcome back.
Thank you.
So I think the key to this is really keeping things in perspective and trying to weed out the fluff. So what are the tips we should be following when it comes to that?
Well, I think that some of the most important tips that I have is to stay focused on agenda items that are really important to you, kind of the deal breakers, and stay true to your deal breakers. Don't get lost in the weeds when you're in a debate with somebody. When you're in a debate with a friend or a colleague or someone, keep it professional at that professional level, and don't go to a personal attack place, so that you can maintain the respect of the conversation and keep a clear focus on what's important to you, and why that's the most important thing to you. Those are some of the strategies that you can use for entering in those conversations and trying to manage your reactions as you're going through there. And if you find yourself getting a little hot under the collar, it's a good time to take a step back and listen to the person and where they're coming from. Why are they thinking the things that they're thinking and saying what they're saying? Right. And then process a little bit as you're thinking about that.
This has been an incredibly polarized time for quite some time. I mean, while it may be an election year, this has been going on for some time. It doesn't diffuse it necessarily, and in fact now it might, between now and November, it'll probably amplify even more so. There's so much advertising that you see where the goal of that is to manipulate emotions, and it's very easy to get caught up in that.
Yeah. Negative campaigns have, for a long time, been a focus of how politicians market themselves. And so what we find is that those negative campaigns are all about tearing each other down. Well, then that leads to more and more of that polarizing difference. And then it's sort of, this good versus evil on both sides of the coin. And so it leads to this really very ugly, very intense, very emotional time. And an election year in particular is a really stressful time for people because there's this level of unpredictability. They don't know what's going to happen once a new president is elected or the same president is reelected or whatever's going to happen. And not knowing the direction of that leadership and the administration leaves people a little bit nervous because of the lack of predictability. So there's this sort of level of anxiety that's there, and then on top of that, you've got all this negativity, and that promotes the anxiety.
Mm-hmm. And this time of year where you also start to see the social media posts brewing.
Yes.
How do we manage ourselves appropriately on social media, understanding that, of course, everyone has the right to their opinions, but sometimes those reveal things about people that you might not have known?
Boy, that's a really good question. And I think we have a couple of different options. I think that it's important to speak to people with respect. Talk to them as if they were sitting there with you in the room, and don't use the anonymity of the online environment to say things that you wouldn't say with your family sitting around you. So treat that environment with respect. And then I think the more we can understand each other, we can reach out and think about, why does this person feel this way on this issue? Why is that important? And ask them those questions and ask for their story. We begin to connect with people. I don't know if you guys have had this experience, but I find that sometimes people say things that are really inflammatory and get me really upset about their politics. And then when I ask them a little bit deeper and they tell me their stories about why they're thinking a certain way, I find that there is some common ground, and we can have a conversation and actually bring our differing political views closer together. We don't have to agree on everything. That's not the goal, but understanding each other is going to help us move forward in a more unified political climate.
It may be oversimplifying and saying try to encourage a dialogue and not a discourse, but that can help you wrap your arms around at least appreciating different perspectives. Thanks for being back with us.
Thank you
Appreciate
for having
it.
me.
Yeah. We'll have more information, a direct link on our show website by later today, WTVR.com/VTM.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.